Hey, I've decided to actually explain a bit more about lists. I realized that I didn't actually include how to get individual values from lists from in the last video, and I've also decided to show how to use something called list comprehensions, which allow you to basically populate a list in a single line. So let's just create a new file, and I'm going to call it lists2.py. Let's open that with whatever we want and zoom in. Okay, so remember from last video we had the odd numbers from 1 to 27, so let's do that in a single line now. So let's say odds is equal to, now we have our empty list here, but we want some odd number, so let's call it odd. So for each odd number, right? For each odd number, so odd for odd in range 1 until 28 with step 1. So for each odd number in this range, we want that odd number in the list. This is just a very compact way of saying A is equal to some empty list for some A, and then for odd in range 1 until 28 with a step of 1, it's the exact same for loop over here. Basically this over here is exactly the same as this over here basically. And then if we were to say a dot append odd, so if we were going to put the dummy variable odd into here, we could just use some expression of that dummy variable before the for loop in this this list comprehension over here. This here is the exact same as this over here, where A will have the exact same list as odds in the end. So this is just like a very quick way of storing a lot of values into a list without having to write this very, well, not redundant, but it's kind of repetitive, this kind of code, yeah, where you'd have some empty list and then for each thing in some range then just append that. That's why you can just do it this way. We can also, like, let's say we wanted to append 2 times whatever that odd number is to here, we can also just say 2 times that odd over here. So that's really list comprehensions. You can have some expression here, you can call a function and get its result in here that takes odd. Doesn't necessarily have to use odd, but it'll do it that many times. So I'm just going to remove this. So this should, let's print out odds. So this will just give us the first 2 times, the first 2 times odd for each odd in the range 1 to 27, whatever I just said, but you get what I mean. For each odd number from 1 to 27, it'll print out 2 times that odd, but I think that's better. So let's just open a terminal here and Python lists2.py. So actually that's like the even numbers. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, so the first odd number was 1, so 2 times that is 2, and then the second odd number is 3. Wait 2 4 6 8, so 1, and then, oh wait a second, never mind, I've been using a step of 1, sorry, this should be a 2 over here. Yeah, that should be a 2. Let's just clear that. Okay, that's better. That looks a lot better now. Yeah. So the step should have been 2 because we wanted the odd numbers here. So we have 2 times the first odd number, which is 2 times 1, which will give us 2. Then 2 times 3, 2 times 5, 2 times 7, 2 times 9, 2 times 11, etc. All the way up until 2 times 27. So that's how list comprehensions work. It's just I had my step size wrong. You should always check your step size. That's very easy to get wrong. Okay, so let's also show you something else you can do with list comprehensions. Let's say you wanted a pattern of 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 and you wanted 10 of these in total, and you wanted to start off with 0. So we can also have we'll call it pattern, and we'll let it be I mod 2. Remember, the percentage sign is for the remainder after dividing, so we'll start off with an even number, which is 0, if we just leave this out, for I in range 10. Yeah, we'll use 10 zeros and ones. So I will first be a 0, then a 1, 2, 3, all the way up until a 9. And now what we'll actually be keeping in the list is I mod 2. So this will just end up being 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. There'll be 10 of them in total. And we can print out pattern. So let's just clear that and do that. You can see 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah, the 9 actually is an odd number, so yeah, it'll end off on a 1. So it starts off with 0 mod 2, then 1 mod 2 is 1, the remainder is 1, then odd, even, so 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. That's another, well, it's just another example of how you might use these list comprehensions. Now, I realized that in the last video I haven't shown how to actually get some specific thing in a list, so I've printed out pattern here. Well, actually let's work with odds, so we can actually differentiate between them easier for now. So let's say we want to get the second value in the odds list, right? So we could say odds, and we can index into this list using square brackets. And now inside of there we give it some integer. It has to be an integer, not a float. If you've done some calculation and you want to get the nth odd number where n is something which you calculated, make sure that it's an integer. So you'd use the int function to convert that. But if we wanted the second odd, we'll say odds 1, because the indices are from 0 onwards. So I'll explain that a bit more just now. So this will give us the second 2 times odd over here in this list comprehension, or in this list, which you will be able to see now. So if I just run that again, you see these are 2 times odds here, where this is 2 times 3. Now the second one, which is at index 1 over here, 0, 1, it will be 6. And that's exactly what we expected over here. So that's really how that works. If you wanted the very first one, you'd use odds 0. If you wanted the last one, you could use odds, and then there are, how many are in here? 1 to 27. There'll be quite a few in there. So you could just, instead of having to count all of that, you can just use the trick. You can use a trick where you use negative indices. So if you say -1, that'll be the first number from the end of the list, so that would give you the 54. So if we did that, it'll print out the 54. If we want the second number from the back, we could say -2. In this way we don't have to actually know, -2 will give us the second to last one. So we don't have to actually know the actual length of this thing to get this, to get whatever's in the last place. But we can actually use a function to get the length. So let's say we wanted the last one in another way. We'll know that the index, of all of these things are 0 based. So the last index is going to be the length of the list less 1. Because for a list of length 1, there'll only be one index, which is 0. So we're going to subtract 1 from the length. So let's print out odds. Now in here we'll use len which is a function that will give you the length of some list, length of odds minus 1. So now we are indexing into odds with length of odds minus 1, which is the very last index in the list. So that'll also just give us the last value in these odds, which aren't really odds, but oh well. Let's see. Yeah, 54. That's because the length of this it would point outside of this, and then minus 1 will point to the last one. You always should you should always subtract 1 from the length of the list to get the very last index. Otherwise you'll get array out of bounds errors, and it's quite easy to actually forget about that. So if we do this, you'll see, oh well, list index out of range, which is the same thing, array index out of bounds. So don't forget to subtract 1, but you'll see it when you run it if you do forget, hopefully. And yeah, that's how you index into lists. You can use negative indices to go from the back, and yeah, that should be about it, I think. We got the list comprehension, got patterns. Yeah, anyways, please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. Thanks.